Silent Hill 4 has always been the game that's basically been a black sheep of the family. And I say that because not really much people have ever once talked about this game. I've always seen the game pictures, but never the game itself back then. It was released from Team Silent, being the last game in the developer's life cycle, because that ended up being the last one because Konami decided to give Western developers to make the game series instead, which I think is a dumb reason why to disband the team in any way, shape, or form. But we'll talk about the aftermath soon. It was released in 2004 on PS2 and Xbox, and also on PC. The PS2 version only came out in Japan, and the weird thing is that this game is still expensive, same as the other games in the series, but I find strange is that the Xbox version of Silent Hill 4 is the cheapest out of the home consoles. But it was till recent years where Konami decided to bring the game to GOG, meaning that it's been on PC now for the first time since several years ago. Well, this game happens to be on GOG in the preservation program in a huge way. What I mean by this is that in terms of the GOG preservation, the game has been given a higher resolution graphics as you can see, but also they restored some of the gameplay elements that made the game quite different than the other games in the series. What is the feature, you're wondering? Well, it's called the Hauntings. This can only be experienced halfway through the game inside the room. The room is a first-person perspective, while you explore outside the room by going to some sort of hole. It's in third-person mode. But this time, this gameplay has done some stuff that are quite different than the rest of the series. What I mean is that this game happens to have a limited inventory system, but they also removed the stamina functionality that was widely known in the rest of the series. Oh, and you're also gonna love this too. You want to combine ammo into one stockpile like the rest of the series has? Well, let's help with this. Let's not do that and put 10 bullets per slot of the inventory system, which I think is the dumbest decision ever. Same goes with the health stuff. Now, let me just tell you about the health stuff in the game itself. Now, you can heal yourself with the health stuff, like the nutrition stuff, the medical packs, and all of that. But I think the best way for you guys to do is save the stuff for much later, because the hauntings are the ones that will definitely drain your health, and you're going to need all the necessary items in order to complete this game. What I mean is that in the beginning part of the game, in the first half, the room will heal your wounds, but in the second half, the room will drain your health in any sort of way. So in order to get rid of these haunting things, they basically give you these candle things, where if you light them up in a certain area, those things will go away for the time being. But don't waste too much of them. One is good enough for each part, but don't go super crazy with them. There's also a Saint Medallion, which can buy you some time in terms of those spirit things, which can make you immune for a time being. It's a limited thing, so use it wisely. This game is basically an escort mission where you play as Henry, who's trapped in this room, who's locked up interior. Yeah, they changed the whole door inside the thing itself, not the other way around it. Now, the thing is that you're going to need to explore these areas, subways, forests, and whatever. But you guys might be wondering, is the trademark fog still intact? Well, yes it is. You can find it in some areas of the game, but not too much. The game is trying to focus on more of trying to free yourself from the hotel, which is something wrong with it. Because it almost seems like anytime anyone interacts with the door, they become the next victim, including your next door neighbor. I'm not making this up. So in order to save and heal yourself, you need to go to the hole things. Yeah, the holes. That's basically it. It's the same identical hole that you've seen in the room, but for that one alone, you go there, you go to the red thing, you save it. There's only one save point in the entirety of the game. And just to be more clear, this game came out the following year after Silent Hill 3, which was well received, while this game ended up being mixed. Some fans loved it, some fans hated it. It has its own issues, but it's not by far the worst in the series. I promise you guys that. The game does have backwards compatibility with the Xbox 360, but that's it. Nothing more. So if you guys have an Xbox 360, you can also play it on there. But I have heard there's slight emulation problems, but nothing too crazy over it. Now, if you guys are going to get this game, the cheapest way is to get a GOG account and just buy it off for 10 bucks. Or you can just wait for a sale, you might get it for 7. But that's it. The PC version will go on to support controller support, which I believe matches the control scheme based on the PS2 version. But there are some more PS2 version stuff that are featured in this one. The contrast and some of the other aesthetics, including the hauntings as I've already just previously mentioned. Not only do the hauntings can pretty much drain your health in terms of the hotel in the second half, but it's something like flickering the lights, the phone ringing, the windows are opening, closing, whatever you're seeing in the hotel. That's why those candles are there to protect you from those things. It takes a little bit for them to get out, and that's it. In terms of the combat, you got different types of melee weapons like the pipe and axe, or whatever else you can find, including golf clubs. There are some that can also be broken, which you gotta be really careful with them. Yeah, they're powerful, but you gotta be really careful when you want to use them. So, yeah. Now, this game does not have many firearms. The only firearms I was able to find were a pistol and a revolver. That's it. That's all the firearms I was able to find in this game. So, and the ammo as well is not really much. It's pretty much limited as far as I can tell you. I mean, it's kind of weird how this game is more melee focused than shooting. Despite some monsters being stuck on walls, which you probably can't reach for some reason, which I do find to be strange. But there is a special bullet for some guns, which can shoot some ghosts. The thing is that in the second half of the game, the so-called bosses are more like stalkers. And yeah, the only way to defeat them in some sort is by taking them down and then stabbing them with some sort of providence or whatever. It's rare to find, but it's worth it because they can pretty much stalk you. And there's no end to them either, so you have to be really careful. So the person you're escorting is Eileen. As I said before, your next door neighbor. She's all part of the whole thing too, and she doesn't even know what's going on either. And you also meet this kid, which you'll come to find out later, which also has an importance of the role. So yeah. The only thing I can tell you about the melee weapons is that you could do a light attack, or if you hold until a meter gets full, you can do a powerful heavy attack, which can do some damage, which is a good sign. And yes, you can still stomp on enemies if asking. Just for notice, not all enemies can actually die in this game, because like I said, some of them are pretty much ghosts, and that's gonna be a pain in the butt. And don't worry, there's also puzzle solving, like finding an item and placing it there. That's going to be the most majority of the whole entire game you're going to be witnessing. Now, while I was playing through halfway the game, I noticed some certain cutscenes in the game that was having some sort of filter that wasn't supposed to be in there. I don't know if it has something to do with Windows 11 version of the game or what, but if you were to compare one of the later cutscenes where the boss will be introduced or something, then you can basically see what I mean. One of them looks like colorly glitchy or something like that. I don't know if there was something wrong with the game's coding or something, because if you guys were to play it on PS2 and Xbox, this is pretty much non-existent. So I don't know if there was something wrong with it, but it doesn't mean that it plays the worst. That's always a weird thing about the hauntings being removed from the PC version. I don't know why they did it, but it was stated that it was in the game's code despite it being removed from the PC version. But with the hauntings, it's supposed to be the best way to experience with the game, because if there's no hauntings in the PC version, then you're not really playing the same experience as the console players have it, so that wouldn't make sense. So the game does have a couple of different endings, but unfortunately, if anyone you guys are expecting one of the traditional UFO endings, you're not going to get it, although there is evidence in the game's coding that they actually do had it planned with the stone things. The only problem is, it never came to life. So yeah, because of some of the issues that people didn't like about the game, or some features or whatever, that's basically why this game is so divided. Some people liked some changes, some of them didn't. But it's not like it was unrelated to Silent Hill. In fact, it was stated that it is still pretty much related to it. Although it was nominated by GameSpot for like the best adventure game, but it lost to Myst 4. The only thing too about the inventory system is that you can't really... The only thing about the inventory system is that the only way to look into it is by pressing the start button, but that's more like it pauses the world at the same time you're looking at it from a background distance and look into your inventory system. And the thing is, you can't even look at your own health meter in the inventory system. So the only way to know is like, you have to find out during combat, which is the dumbest thing I've seen in my life. But yeah, it has its own health bar instead of like doing it in variants of different colors. I mean, it still has its own colors depending. There's blue, yellow, and red. But of course, everyone knows what that means. You know what I should also mention about this game too? You're going to be going back to the same places in the second half of the game. I don't know if they ran out of time or something, but that's what you'll be doing. That's exactly where the boss is going to be at too. I should also add into. You'll be going back to the subway, the hotel rooms, and whatever too. You're basically going back to the same 4 areas at least twice in one playthrough. I don't know why this is an occurrence in this one. Like I said, I don't know if they ran out of time or something, but that's what you'll be doing. It seems like you're backtracking, but there are items you can still find regardless. But I think this game isn't too bad, but it's definitely the weakest in the series, and that's basically why most people happen to be divided into the game itself. It's also a shame that this game never was included in the Silent Hill HD collection, despite it being released on PC and GOG, which now this game runs at a much higher resolution. In fact, it looks sharper than its PS2, or the PSSX2 HD pack, which is a huge mile for this one, and is a clear winner in terms of graphics. Yeah, not only that, but the cutscenes are all been higher up in terms of the resolution, so that's pretty cool. But again, not much else in terms of like improvements I can say other than that. But if this is what's the closest way to play the PS2 version, then this is the way you should get it. In fact, I think we should all try to see if we can get the Silent Hill games included in terms of 2, 3, maybe Origins and all of that into the whole program, or maybe some sort of re-release or some sort of Silent Hill collection that's ever going to be a thing. Not the one where everybody knows the HD collection that's been broken and busted. All because they were given incompleted source codes. But somehow Silent Hill 4 is all fine. But if anyone's got a PC and want to experience a classic Silent Hill game, then at the time of this recording, this is the only classic Silent Hill game you can play. Sure, you got Homecoming on Steam, but the PC version of that game has been pretty much bad as far as everyone has been saying. So should Silent Hill 4 be for you or no? Well, I'll just say it depends on their taste, and this happens to be Team Silent's last ever game, as I previously said. I should also say that Team Silent went out of the way to be in different companies, especially being part of Project Siren, which made a Siren series, and was also part of companies like Nintendo and Grasshopper manufacturer. But I have heard from an interview that there were questionings as to whether if Team Silent was to ever reformat, but the answers seem to have been complicated and they don't even think it's going to happen anytime soon. But anyways, it is weird that Silent Hill 4 did in fact get an Xbox release despite the third game skipping it. So that can pretty much cause a lot of confusion. But in terms of trying to play Silent Hill 3, it's complicated. It's expensive, and the HD version is not going to be worth your money. So if you guys just want to play Silent Hill 4 for the first time ever, then the PC version is definitely the best way to play it now than it was back then. All because of the higher resolution and the features that have been restored that were absent of the PC version for some reason. I wonder if this was the reason why Xbox version was cheaper as well. Not sure. Even though I do have the Xbox version, I haven't really got far into that version alone, so I can't really speak for everybody when I say this. So, if you guys want to give Silent Hill 4 a try, then be my guest. The PC version is cheaper, like I said, so that's it. And a lot of people have always stated that Henry's personality is, well, he doesn't have a personality, they've all been saying, but even if he doesn't have a personality, people will try to remember it. But the weakest part of this game is the forgettable bosses. Like I said before, they don't feel like bosses, they just feel like stalkers, like Mr. X and the Tyrant, for an example. If you guys want to try it, it's cheap on GOG. That's all I gotta say.